What if two minds could actually, truly become one? We're about to dive into a case that goes way beyond simple mind reading. It's about a mother and son who might just share a single consciousness. This is the incredible story of Akquil. My life was like an open book. Just let that sink in for a second. That's what Manisha, the mother of a young man named Akquil, said about their connection. It's a statement so profound that it forced her and everyone around her to question everything they thought they knew about the human mind. So let's get right to the core of it. Are we talking about classic telepathy here? Or is this something else? Something deeper, maybe even a true merging of two minds into what could be called a shared consciousness. Now, this is a really important distinction, and it comes from Manisha herself. She says telepathy doesn't quite capture it. Telepathy is like sending a text message from one brain to another. She describes something totally different, a shared consciousness, where it seems like her son is literally using her mind as a processing space. It's not a transfer. It's like they're sharing the same mental Wi-Fi.
Of course, an idea this huge demands extraordinary proof, and you can bet the scientific community is skeptical. Neuroscientists like Dr. Diane Hennessy-Powell are pretty clear. If you're going to make a claim like this, the evidence has to be rock solid, gathered under strict, controlled conditions that rule out any chance of cheating or even subtle cues. And that's exactly what this story is all about.
All right, so let's meet the people at the heart of this incredible story. A mother, Manisha, who simply refused to give up, and her son, Akquil, whose brilliant mind was a world just waiting to be discovered. Akil's journey is, well, it's just remarkable. At 18 months, he's diagnosed with autism, and his parents are told he'll never speak. Imagine hearing that. For years, he was trapped in silence, but then, at age 11, everything changed. A new way to communicate opened up his entire world. And today, he's a college student who types completely on his own. So that breakthrough method was something called supported typing, and we have to talk about it because it's pretty controversial. The big concern is that the person helping could be guiding the user's hand, even without realizing it. And Manisha, she was skeptical too, but she decided to just presume her son was competent. And over time, that physical support just faded away, from his wrist to his elbow to just a hand on his shoulder, until eventually he didn't need any physical contact at all. And once he could finally communicate, wow, the things he shared were just stunning. One of the first things he explained was this deep disconnect he feels between his mind and his body. He said, "The body in my mind doesn't move." I mean, can you imagine? It was this incredible window into a reality none of us could have ever guessed. So, as you can imagine, Manisha started thinking, something really extraordinary is happening here. And that suspicion led to a series of informal tests, starting right there in their own dining room. Okay, so get this. Picture the scene. There's a cameraman, Michael, who's a total skeptic. He's asked to write a random word on a card and make sure no one, especially not Akquil or Manisha, can see it. He writes, onion. The card is totally hidden from view. A moment later, Akquil grabs his iPad and without any hesitation types out O-N-I-O-N. The cameraman's jaw just dropped. And it wasn't a one-off. It just kept happening. They tried it again with the word tiger. Nailed it. Then they switched it up. Manisha sat 15 feet away and wrote down the word movie. As she was writing it, Akquil, who barely speaks, actually yelled the word movie from across the room. But for Manisha, this wasn't really a huge surprise. The proof had been piling up for years. For instance, he'd know her exact shopping route without her saying a word. He somehow knew the entire plot of a movie she was watching alone in the basement while he was upstairs. He could even answer specific questions about books she was reading in a totally different room. Like she said, her life was an open book to him. But anecdotes, as powerful as they are, aren't enough for science. To really be taken seriously, the tests had to become way more controlled. The goal? To remove any possible way for him to be getting cues, conscious or not. So for this next round of experiments, there was one golden rule. Absolutely no physical contact between Manisha and Akquil. This was non-negotiable. It was the only way to prove that information wasn't being transmitted through some tiny, unnoticed physical signal. So they used a random generator on an iPad, facing it so only Manisha could see. First, random words, things like Izard and Kif. Akquil typed them perfectly. But the picture tests, that's where it got really wild. An image of London phone booths pops up. Akquil types telephone and read. Then, an abstract picture of a food mess appears. Manisha herself wasn't even sure what to call it. Akquil, he typed paint. And this just raises a mind-bending question, doesn't it? If Manisha doesn't consciously know what thought to send because she's still trying to figure out the abstract image herself, how is Akquil getting it? Is this just thought reading? Or is he somehow plugging directly into her senses, like literally seeing through her eyes? Then came the test that just blew everyone away, the calculator test. Manisha types 25 times 36 into a calculator on her phone, holding the screen completely away from Akquil. She explained it like this. The moment the information comes here, pointing to her head, it goes there, pointing to him. And sure enough, the very instant the answer, 900, flashed on her screen and entered her brain, Akquil typed 900. This was the breaking point. The cameraman, Michael, the guy who started the day as a total non-believer, was so shaken by what he saw that he later pulled the interviewer aside and actually asked him, "Do I have to believe in God now?" It was this moment where a purely scientific, materialistic worldview just shattered. So, if this is real, what on earth does it all mean? Because the implications here go way, way beyond just one family. This could change how we think about the mind itself and how we look at neurodiversity as a whole. And if you ask Akquil, he'll tell you this kind of communication is completely natural. He says he often greets people with his mind and then gets confused when they don't answer back. From his point of view, this silent, direct communication, that's just how the world is supposed to work. And this really gets to the heart of what Manisha is fighting for. So often, society is focused on fixing neurodiverse people, on making them conform to our expectations. But families like hers are just asking for acceptance, to focus on their incredible strengths and give them the accommodations they need, instead of judging them. You know, the kind of intense skepticism around all this isn't exactly new in the history of science. People thought Galileo was crazy for saying the Earth revolved around the sun. Gregor Mendel's groundbreaking work on genetics was completely ignored for decades. What seems impossible or even like nonsense to one generation often becomes the bedrock science of the next. But maybe the most shocking claim of all came when Akquil was asked a very direct question. Do you think most non-speaking people can read minds? His response was immediate and crystal clear. He just typed yes. And that's where we have to leave it. This whole story started with one young man, but his answer opens a door to a possibility that is almost too big to wrap your head around. If he's right, then what we're seeing isn't some rare fluke. It could be a widespread, hidden human ability. And it just makes you wonder, how many other minds are out there with entire worlds inside them, just waiting for the rest of us to finally learn how to listen?